Hello everybody, Marhaba, greetings from Jerusalem. Last week we thought about Jesus' death and his resurrection. This week we're going to go back almost a week before, and we're going to start our journey in the village of Bethphage, about 2 or 3 kilometres away. When Jesus and his disciples reached this village, he sent 2 disciples ahead of him to collect a donkey, and he started to make his way into Jerusalem. There's a church here that marks the beginning of Jesus' donkey ride. Inside the walls are painted with scenes of Jesus' procession. There are people waving palm branches, others spreading their cloaks on the road, and Jesus on the donkey. But look above the painting and you can see pictures of another journey, the journey Jesus made on the following Friday, his journey to the cross. And so Jesus set off. I wonder if the streets were as busy as they are today. The steep hill is the same, but the cars and lorries are new. At the top, the city of Jerusalem comes into view. Today you can see the Dome of the Rock covered in gold. On the right is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest site for Muslims. They were built long after Jesus' time. What he saw was the temple. To help you picture it, there's a model in the Israel Museum here in Jerusalem. This is the top of the Mount of Olives, and the hillside is covered with tombs. Jews believe this is a very holy place to be buried, on the slopes looking towards the ancient site of the temple. The path takes us down through the cemeteries. It's steep and can be slippy. Perhaps it was easier for the donkey in the days before tarmac was invented. St. Luke's Gospel tells of an incident on the way. As Jesus came near Jerusalem, he saw the city and cried for it, saying, "I wish you knew today what would bring you peace." Then he predicted the end of the temple, which came when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem nearly 40 years later. Here there's a small church called The Lord Wept. It reminds us of this story. And the church is built to look like a teardrop. Inside there's a large window looking out over the city. In the valley there are other churches. Among them is the one where the king's grandmother is buried. And up the other side we come into the city itself. Jesus went to the temple, but that's more difficult for us. So let's move on a few days. That Thursday was the feast of the Passover, and Jesus gathered with his disciples to share the Passover meal together. It says that they met in an upper room, and here is an upper room with a staircase outside. It may be on the original site, but this room was rebuilt about 1,000 years ago. 500 years later it was converted into a mosque. Now it's open for all to visit. Here Jesus shared bread and wine with his disciples. Here he washed their feet, and it was from here that Judas went off to betray him. After the meal they went out to the bottom of the Mount of Olives, where there was a garden. There's still a grove of olive trees there and a large church. In the middle of the church is a slab of rock. This is where Jesus knelt to pray, knowing what was coming next. On the walls of the church we can see this. Jesus in prayer, the soldiers coming to arrest him, and Judas betraying him with a kiss.